Well, it's February 2021, so it's a year since I started recording my diaries on this beautiful Rossglass beach. And I think I started off by saying that this was a seminal place for me, and you've followed me throughout the year, the summers and the winter, the storm, beautiful sunny weather. But yes, it's a beautiful place, and probably because it's home, but all our homes are beautiful places, aren't they? We get used to the routes that take us back home, the landmarks that we have. And for me, I come and sit here often. Very lucky to get a balmy 10 degrees today, even though it's February. But over there to my right, the Mourne Mountains, of course. And then sweeping right across Dundrum Bay, over to the left, the St. John's Point lighthouse. And then just to the left, you can see that windmill up on the horizon, and just beneath that is the little Rossglass church. And that's where my parents are buried. They lie side by side, at peace, at rest. And that's where in the future I intend to be interred, I guess, to become part of this landscape as well. And I don't mean that in any kind of morbid sense, but I guess it means in eternity my bones will last and rest around this place. And that gives me a certain measure of comfort, because this place has been so important to me, and it's so important for lots of other people. Not least my own children. And despite the fact that they are now in various different parts of the world making their own lives, they all come back here at some stage and walk along this beach with me, or on their own, or with their partners. And it's just as an important place to them, because, well, it's also home to them. And is it any wonder? Because they have lots of lovely memories of down here being children, playing about, as have I. So even though it is a beautifully sunny day up here, I'm shielded in the car because the wind out there is ferocious, and the microphone is just distorting. But this is another place that I come to walk with my children, and there it is itself, the St. John's Point lighthouse. 40 meters tall, the tallest lighthouse on the actual landmass of the island of Ireland. It was originally painted white, commissioned in 1844. Then in 1902 they painted in the 3 black bands that you can see there, and then again in 1954 they painted in the 2 big yellow bands, making it really stand out no matter where you are in this landscape. And you know, it has been immortalized in so many oil paintings and watercolors. Oh, I'd say millions and millions of photographs. Van Morrison has written his famous song about Lochiel and St. John's Point Lighthouse, and it has a lovely story about the famous Irish dramatist and playwright Brendan Behan, whose father got a contract to paint St. John's Point Lighthouse. So Brendan Behan arrived up here and didn't do a very good job, though, because I've seen a copy of the letter sent by the lighthouse keeper at that time in the 50s to the Commissioner of Irish Light, saying that this man is so sloppy and slovenly. He's appearing on the job drunk. His digs in the lighthouse are a disgrace. The work he does is a disgrace. He doesn't turn up for shifts, or he turns up late, and he's staggering around the place, and take him home immediately. Of course, meanwhile, Behan is having a wonderful time regaling all the locals of his tales of adventures, and no doubt letting them sample his literature and his famous storytelling. And I've no doubt that Behan himself, in the more sober moments, was also gathering a few characterizations of people for future novels and future bits of literature. So it's a place that I have walked many times with my children, come to contemplate life, look out at sea, watch the world go by, and I come at night as well sometimes, and you know, it's really at night when this lighthouse comes into its own. And here I am in exactly the same spot that I was in this afternoon, 6 hours later. Pitch black, the sea is quite rough, the wind is really whipping up, and the lighthouse is casting its beam right across Dundrum Bay and inland, the sweep of about 6 seconds. 2 beams follow quickly one after the other. You can just about see it there. The lighthouse used to be manned for, you know, over a century and a half, but in 1981 it was automated. But it has a very unique kind of a setup. It's a huge big lamp that rotates all the time on a mercury bed. Sadly, the people that own it, Irish Lights, are thinking of removing that mechanism and putting in an LED setup which would not be as bright or have the same effect. They're facing quite a lot of opposition from the Lecale Lightkeepers, a local campaign group, and I for one hope that they're able to win the day and that the lighthouse remains the way it has been, sweeping its beam across the bay and across the land, being seen for miles for many years to come. Two years after it was commissioned in 1846, Brunell's wonderful big iron steam vessel, the SS Great Britain, was on its way to New York and ran aground just about half a mile into Dundrum from this point in Torella Beach, and it was grounded there for almost a year. The engines were corroded and ruined, so they had to be replaced, but they were able to get the hulk, most of the hulk off the sands and put it back into service. And sometimes I also think to myself that because there are many wrecks around the coasts here, how many ships and how many lives have been saved by this wonderful lighthouse and this setup. Possibly even 1 or 2 U-boats on their way out to the North Atlantic for the Battle of the Atlantic have upped periscopes or surfaced to get their bearings from the St. John's Point lighthouse. It is really quite a remarkable mechanism and a wonderful, wonderful place. Listen to that sea.